A lot of inspiration can come from how Australian films have been made and what stories have been told in the past, and how that affects what stories are told in the future, and where we can broaden and diversify Australian cinema.
Hi, I'm Jenny Cooney, film journalist and host of the podcast Aussies in Hollywood. I am thrilled to be bringing you NFSA Presents Inspired, conversations about talent, ambition and craft with some of our favourite Aussies in front of and behind the cameras. I'm welcoming Angourie Rice today. Hi, Angourie, how are you?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great. I'm so excited to talk about all things Aussie. Let's jump right in and start with your favourite or most influential Australian cinema memory.
I can remember very vividly the first time I watched Muriel's Wedding. I think I might have been about 8 or 9. And my mum showed me and my sister. She was like, this is a great classic Australian movie. And I watched the first half and I thought, oh my God, this is so great. This is so funny. I love it. It's such a great comedy. And then I remember bawling my eyes out with the second half. And that like really sticks in my mind as a movie that had a big impact on me for sure.
Wow, yeah, I guess it was not just a comedy, huh?
Yes, it offered a lot more. But I think that shows, you know, good filmmaking. It sucks you in with the jokes and then really kind of hits you hard in the emotions.
Right. So what films or music or stories do you find yourself going back to, and why? It could be Australian or anything.
I thought of Australian. I thought in that realm, and I thought really the Australian movies I keep coming back to are Baz Luhrmann's early films. I really love Strictly Ballroom and Moulin Rouge. I think those are my two favorites. I love how it's all, you know, glittery and stylized, and I love the design, and whenever I watch, you know, Strictly Ballroom or Moulin Rouge, it feels like an experience rather than just a movie. It feels like I'm kind of sucked into this whole bright, colorful world. So they're the ones I keep coming back to if I feel sick or sad. I like to watch those because they cheer me up.
So what do you think is the secret sauce behind Australian cinematic success?
It's a good question. I think the thing that I love about Australian movies is that I think they have a great knack for balancing comedy and drama, like in Muriel's Wedding. I recently watched Two Hands for the first time, and I had never seen it before, and I loved how it got that balance. It was kind of absurdly comic, but then also very gritty and dramatic, and I think that balance really made it real and made it feel grounded. So I think there are quite a few Australian films that do that really successfully.
Do you think Australia punches above its weight internationally?
What do you mean by that?
In a good way, like that we're a very small country, not a lot of people, but we're just everywhere doing everything, winning every award.
I guess, you know, everyone has ambition, and I guess everyone wants to, you know, Hollywood, I think is the dream for a lot of people. And I think, yeah, like for me personally, growing up here, like I always saw kind of America and Hollywood as this like dream fantasy land. So, and that's kind of what I aspired to be a part of. So I guess it is, you know, part of this thing of like living far away. You see Hollywood as like this golden land, and you really kind of want to be a part of it.
Well, you mentioned ambition. Good segue to the next question. So when you reflect on your career, what does ambition mean to you?
Well, I've always been an ambitious person in everything. In school, I was very ambitious. I wanted to, you know, do very well, get good grades. And in acting, it's no different. I've always wanted to, you know, do really well, and I guess push myself to the best that I can do. I think maybe that's what ambition means to me, is holding myself to to a certain standard, or pushing myself or driving myself to kind of work hard and do the best that I possibly can do, because that's the only thing you can control. You can't really control other people giving you roles. You just have to do your best, and yeah, that's all you can do, I guess.
So what element of filmmaking in the craft side of it fascinates you, besides what you obviously already do? Is there anything else that you really are fascinated with?
Yeah, I've always been fascinated with the design aspect of film. I've always loved fashion, so costume design, production design, hair, makeup, cinematography. I think film is such a special medium, because you can tell a story with visual cues. You know, you can take dialogue and words out of the film, and you can still tell a story. And I think some of my favorite films do that really well. It kind of adds another layer, especially in costuming and cinematography. I think you can add a whole extra layer of meaning with the visual cues. So yeah, design has always been something that really interests me.
And what does the National Film and Sound Archive mean to you?
I think it's really important to preserve Australian film. I got the opportunity to visit the National Film and Sound Archive a few years ago, and it was such a special experience to see everyone working on preserving film. And there were people working on film and color and sound, and then people also working in artifacts and scripts and photos. I think it's important to preserve the past, because it helps us in the future. You know, I think we look to the past whether we want to build on other people's ideas, or learn from our mistakes, or subvert history in a new way. I think the future of Australian cinema really depends on being able to look into our past.
So obviously you think it's important that we sort of collect, preserve and share it to inspire the next generation too?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of inspiration can come from how Australian films have been made, and what stories have been told in the past, and how that affects what stories are told in the future, and where we can broaden and diversify Australian cinema.
So which Aussie inspired you when you were coming up in your career?
I definitely think Margot Robbie. She kind of became like a huge Hollywood hit around 2014, 2015. And I was just like starting to work in film at that time. So I really admired her career path. And I'm still inspired by her. I think she's chosen some amazing projects to work on. And now that she's founded her own production company as well, and is producing her own films, like I really admire that. And I think, I think she's just so cool. And she's always kind of been someone I've looked up to.
And now who currently inspires you, and who do you think we should be celebrating? Who should be on the radar of the NFSA in Australia?
Well,
besides you, of course.
Oh my gosh.
Although you're way past that.
Oh goodness. No. I recently saw High Ground at the cinema. And I thought it was so fantastic. I'm not the only one. A lot of people saw it and really loved it. But I just thought it was really brilliant. I think that whole creative team told such an effective story, and in such a unique way as well, just the way it was shot. And they used like an interesting aspect ratio when shooting the film. So I just thought that was such a brilliant film. And that's definitely a recent Australian film that's really stuck in my mind.
So films inspire you as well as performances, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think because it's a whole team effort, and you see that final product in the end. It's so wonderful to see everyone's hand in the final art piece, I think.
Right. Well, the NFSA is opening Australians in Hollywood, an exhibition that celebrates the craft, talent and ambition of Aussies at home and overseas. So what in your mind is there to celebrate?
I think there's lots to celebrate about Australian cinema. I think it's really special. I think it's, for me, it's so special to see Australian stories on screen. To hear a familiar accent, or to see Melbourne in a movie, or to see Sydney in a movie, like that's really special, I think. And we have so much talent here, so many local stories to be told. So I definitely think that's something to celebrate.
Are there any Aussies that helped you in your early days of your global career?
When I was 15, I got to work with Nicole Kidman, which was like just insane and a very unique experience. And I think it was just really incredible to watch her work, not only on set, but also the film we did went to Cannes, and we were doing press, and it was just great to see like how she handled that, because she's one of the biggest stars in the world. And it was so, like, I really admired the way that she was so dedicated to her work on set, and then also so like poised and graceful in press and interviews. I think she's such a legend of the industry, both like globally and in Australia. So I think that was a really big learning experience for me. I learned a lot from just watching her work.
That was a Sofia Coppola movie, right?
Yeah, The Beguiled. Yeah.
Beguiled. Yeah, that was sort of your introduction to Hollywood, right?
Yeah, I think that was, yeah, I had so much fun on that film, and I was so overjoyed to be able to work with so many cool people like Sophia and like Nicole Kidman. I mean, how crazy, right?
So what's your advice to Aussies who are dreaming of Hollywood, who are watching this right now?
Oh, goodness. I guess my advice is, do it because you love it. I think, there are a lot of tricky things to deal with in the industry. I've dealt with a lot of rejection, with spending months away from home and friends and family, and, that feels like a lot of pressure as well to work in a professional environment, especially, when I was still in high school. So, but, throughout all the tricky things, like the thing that sustains me is that I really love it. I love the feeling of being on set, of learning my lines, of getting to work with other actors. And in the end, I mean, it has to make it all worth it. And so, yeah, I would just say, like, do it because you love it, and find any way to be creative and to act, write your own stuff, make your own stuff. Like, that's what I did when I was a kid. I would just like write my own things, like play pretend in my own like little iMovie short films that I made. And I think that was such a great like learning experience for me as well. So, yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much for being with us, and thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of NFSA Presents Inspired.
Thank you so much.